Hi, I'm Kevin, and welcome to the Creator's Place, where I create faith based content as well as content relating to health and wellness, as well as content relating to creativity. I have a special presentation for you today. It's a health and wellness topic with Dr. Irving Fryar, who is a former American professional football player and wide receiver in the National Football League for 17 years. And he is talking with my sister, Donna Marie. Donna Marie is a certified functional nutrition counselor and coach, and a certified aromatherapist and wellness coach. And they are having a really good conversation about health and wellness. Very unique perspective that Donna is bringing to the conversation. Her history and my history overlap in the wellness topic, and so some of the information that she's going to be sharing in her conversation with Dr. Irving Fryar is information that is a part of my wellness history as well. So, without further ado, enjoy the conversation.
Hey, what is good, everybody? We are back here at the Fryar Place. You know it. This is the place where the conversations are fire. I have something really just special for you today. Like I said, you saw it in the advertisement, my post on yesterday. Today, June 6th, she'll be with us today. On July 11th, she'll be with us again. And then August 1st, she'll be with us again. I'm not going to introduce her yet. But listen, I need to give all of you time to come on today so you can hear all of these gems, all of this valuable information. Some of it will probably save your life. Save your life. Yes. I've made some changes in my life since the first time I've talked to this young lady. It's just there's some things we just don't know sometimes. And when we get the information and we know it to be true, we need to make application, because if it makes things better for us, it makes us healthier, it makes us more productive, helps us live just better lives. That's what we need, and that's what we want. And that's what we have on the show for you today. But as always, like you always have seen, we got to go to commercial first. So we'll be right back right after this.
In Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, there's a slightly slower pace of living. That's also where you'll find the home of Stoltz Fish Structures, where quality, integrity, and world-class customer service are more than just a way to do business. It's a way of life. From our humble beginning over 40 years ago in a small building, to the modern 65,000 square foot facility of today, we've remained at the forefront of our industry. Everything from gazebos and sheds to garages and pergolas, and everything in between.
All right, we're back. We're going to get this train rolling. This is a good show today. I see a bunch of you on right now, but I don't. Okay, Loving My Destiny, I see you. What's that, Chef Mar Oils and Cuisine? Good to see you. Scott Teller is in the house today. I got people coming in on both sides, on Facebook and on YouTube. Good to see all of you. Listen, you're going to thank me for today, those of you who are watching right now, and you need to tell somebody else about today. I'm sure you will once you get all of this valuable information. She was on the show before. We're bringing her back in. Let me unmute her. We're going to bring her back in. She is a certified functional nutrition counselor, a coach, and certified aromatherapist. We didn't even get into that side of things. She worked in the pharmaceutical business for some time and came to the realization, you know what? That's not what heals people. Controls the symptoms, but the healing doesn't take place. She does workshops, she gives seminars, she does classes, she hosts live events, and she teaches people how to live in wellness without fear. Y'all, let's bring my sister, Donna Marie, into the house. I've been calling her Donna. Let me get this applause. There you go. I've been calling her Donna Marie Caldwell. She scolded me before we came on, y'all. She said Donna Marie is what needs to be. Donna Marie. So it's Donna Marie. That's where you find her on Instagram. That's where you find her. That's what she works under. That's what she promotes herself as, Donna Marie. Got you. What's going on, Donna?
All right.
I'm sorry.
That was so funny. That was just too funny.
I'm a clown. I can be a clown sometimes. I am, you know what? I'm really excited about today. I'm really excited about the next 2 times you're going to be on as well, because I mean, like I said, just a little bit of information you gave me from the last time you were on the show and our talk before that. I made some changes. I guess what I did? I cut back on chicken.
All right.
No,
All right.
no, I love chicken. I love chicken, but I cut back on the chicken because you scared me.
Well, the thing is, that's really good news, because the research also shows, when I told you the correlation between chicken and prostate cancer, the less you eat, it decreases your probability. So that was a good move. Seriously.
Okay. But I still love chicken. What's my last name? My last name is Fryar.
With an A.
Yeah, with an A. And most people spell it with an E. Yeah, they spell it like it's a chicken. So listen, today, what we're going to be talking about, for those of you who don't know, we're going to be talking about how to uncover, or I should say Donna's going to be talking about how to uncover the root cause of your health issues. The root, that's, man, that's, this is going to be good. That's going to be good. So Donna, just talk to us a little bit about that topic and where you're going to take us today with that.
Okay, so that is key, because a lot of people find themselves, particularly with chronic issues, constantly chasing symptoms for the rest of their lives. You know, I got this, I got that, and they're not really getting any better. They're just getting older. You know, right. But before I actually get into that, I want to talk about, I want to give you some statistics.
Okay.
And this is the one thing that just kind of blew my mind, because it seems like every time I open my computer to start the day, you know, the news comes up, somebody else is dying, and they're young. They're young. That's the thing. Right. And when I say young, I don't mean like teenagers. Well, let me give you the statistic. Mm-hmm. So the age group between 25 and 44, the incidence of death, or the mortality rate, has increased significantly. It's 70% higher than what expected. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. And that's between 2018 and 2023, 70% higher. Okay. And then when we think about the illnesses, the chronic illnesses, there are 100 known serious chronic illnesses. And the largest category is autoimmune disease. Now, and the sad news is that in autoimmune disease, there's like 80 million people in this country that have an autoimmune disease. And 75% of those are women.
Wow.
All right.
Now, what exactly is an autoimmune disease? What exactly is that?
An autoimmune disease, cancer is an autoimmune disease. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease. Lupus is an autoimmune disease. Basically, an autoimmune disease is when your immune system starts to, I don't want to say go awry, because it's really doing what it's supposed to do, but it starts to attack things in your body. Like, I'll give you an example. Let's talk about type 1 diabetes. So in type 1 diabetes, your pancreas actually shuts down, and it usually happens at a very young age. It used to be called juvenile diabetes.
Okay.
And so what happens is that the pancreas starts to attack, not the pancreas, your immune cells start to attack your pancreas. And the reason is because what the research shows is that, and it's associated with dairy, when certain people consume dairy, there's a protein in dairy called casein. And our immune system doesn't like that. And casein, the structure of casein looks very similar to the beta cells in our pancreas. So for some people, the immune system starts attacking the beta cells in the pancreas because it looks like the casein, and they're trying to get rid of the casein because it doesn't belong in the body. See, God designed our immune cells to protect us.
Right.
So anything that gets into our bloodstream, our immune cells go after it. And sometimes if it looks like a cell that's already in the body, the immune cell will start to attack that particular organ. Just like when people have thyroid issues, a lot of times it's because of their consumption of gluten, which is from bread. Because gluten has a protein called gliadin, and gliadin looks very similar to the cells in our thyroid. So when our immune system starts to go to try to get the gliadin out of our system, it attacks the thyroid because it looks very similar. So that's kind of what an autoimmune disease is when the immune system goes on the attack, but it attacks other organs and other cells in an effort to try to protect us.
Wow.
And a lot of doctors will say, go ahead.
No, I'm not flabbergasted. I'm taken back now. Just all that information you just gave us. Listen, those of you who are watching right now, Loving My Destiny, Billy Bell, Annette, Doreen Demby, what's that? That fly chick one. Hey, Mama, I see you. Those of you who are watching right now, if you don't think she knows what she's talking about, come on now. All that stuff she just said, I'm gonna have to go back and watch the show again so I can catch gliadin and the anti-immune. I know I don't even know it, but it sounds good. If I can repeat it, it sounds good. Herb Lust the Third, what's going on, Herb? You need to watch this, bro. You need to watch this. You need to stay and you need to watch this and listen and take notes. Y'all need to take notes. All these big words and stuff. But is that why people? Because here's a couple of questions I was going to ask you, and I don't want to get off track from the topic we were going to talk about today, or that you're going to talk about today. But I have a couple of questions, and that is, why are there so many people who are diabetics, who have diabetes? Why are there so many people who have high blood pressure?
Okay.
There's two different things, yeah.
Diabetes and high blood pressure, they are lifestyle diseases. Now, I'm going to talk about the diabetes, and this is type 2, because there's a difference between type 1 and type 2. They are completely different.
Right.
Okay, but type 2 diabetes, that's the next chronic illness, because for autoimmune diseases, there's 80 million people. For type 2 diabetes, it's just under 30 million just in this country. All right. And it's basically, it has to do with a lot of things, mostly because of what we're intaking as nutrition. And the real sad thing about diabetes is that a lot of people are given wrong information, because they say, oh, diabetes, a lot of people call it, particularly the older people, they'll call it, I have sugar. You ever heard that?
Yeah,
like the
sugar.
older people, I have sugar.
That's a black older people thing. That's black old folk say, I got sugar.
I know. When I was younger, I'd be like, and what is that?
Yeah, what's sugar? What is that?
So, but here's the thing. There's a myth that it's the carbs you're eating. So a lot of times what people will do, they'll try to take all of the sugar and all of the carbs out of their diet, and they still don't understand why they get diabetes. And it's
wait a minute. My doctor, good God Almighty, my doctor told me that carbs cause diabetes, that sugar causes diabetes. and to stop eating carbs and to stop eating sugar, which I stopped, years ago, a couple of years ago, eating that stuff. But now you're telling me that's not necessarily the case.
Exactly. Okay, so
So I can
first
go
of all,
back eating sugar?
you maybe not cane sugar. The thing is not cane sugar. You can eat sugar, the natural sugars from food. First of all, cane sugar is like the worst. Well, cane sugar and high fructose corn syrup, they are the worst things you can put in your body, period. Okay. So, but here's the thing. It's insulin resistance that causes type 2 diabetes. That's a fact. Everybody, now remember that insulin resistance causes type 2 diabetes. And what a lot of doctors get confused is that they're telling you it's the carbs that's causing the insulin resistance. But the research shows that it's not the carbs, it's actually the oils and the fats that you're intaking that's causing the insulin resistance. So what happens is when you are consuming too many inflammatory oils like what are they? Safflower oil, sunflower oil, canola oil, big oils that people are cooking with.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the oil we're cooking with. Yeah.
Exactly. Those oils clog the receptors on our cell that lets the glucose into the cells. Our body's main fuel is glucose. That's carbs. That our brain needs that in order to function. But the fats and the oils actually clog those cells. So then what happens? Now the glucose cannot get in the cells, so it stays in the bloodstream. All right. So then the more sugar that you eat, the more carbs that you eat, it does compound it if your cells or if your receptors are clogged with the oils,
Right.
because now you're eating more carbs and now you have more carbs going throughout your system. And that's what impacts, that's what causes the diabetes and a lot of other things as well. I mean, I can go into a whole lot because that sugar going through your bloodstream is not good. And even think about this. Okay, cancer is another autoimmune disease. Sugar is their favorite food. So if you got all of this sugar going through your bloodstream, and we all have cancer cells, they're just not all activated. Those cancer cells are like, there is a smorgasbord going by here, and let's eat, y'all. And then they start to grow. So it's just a compound effect. So that's the thing, is I try to let people know it's not that you have to take all the sugar out. You want to take the bad sugar out, but you really need to watch the oils and the fats that you're consuming, because that's the real culprit.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm about to fire my doctor. So you mean to tell, because he said, I eat fruit, okay? That's complex sugar, right? That has the complex sugar. That sugar is good for you, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, he told me, oh my gosh, no, that's a lot of sugar in grapes. There's a lot of sugar in that fruit. There's pineapple. There's a lot of sugar in that. You shouldn't be eating that. What? Oh,
well, here's the thing.
I'm going to smack him. Tell me something, so I'm going to go smack him.
If you have type 2 diabetes, or if you have been diagnosed as pre-diabetic, you still have to watch the natural sugars. You still have to watch it, particularly if you're consuming a lot of oils. Now, I'll give you an example. So diabetes runs in my family, but it's not type 2, it's type 1. Diabetes runs in my family. And my siblings, my parents had 6 children, 3 have diabetes. My father had it, my mother does not. 3 children had it, 3 don't. I do not have it, but I have 3 siblings that have type 1 diabetes. You would never know it. Right. You would never know it, because they understand, because even though insulin resistance is not the cause of type 1, they still have to manage that you want your cells to be insulin sensitive and not insulin resistant. And because they know how to manage that, right, they can actually eat more carbs than somebody whose cells are clogged with oil.
Right.
So it just depends on how you're managing it.
So is there a way, someone whose cells are clogged with oil, is there a way to, through your expertise, a way to unclog their cells?
Yes, by dietary changes.
All right. Listen, somebody who's listening right now, you got some clogged cells, and you need you need to listen. Stop cooking with that oil. You need to listen to my sister right here. Stop cooking with oil. Slow down. I know you're cooking right now. Go in the kitchen, turn it off, and come back and watch, because we're going to give you a remedy right now.
Right. And let me give a tip too, because some people say like, well, what do I do? So the best oils to cook with are avocado oil or coconut oil, and even grapeseed oil. Those are three oils that are not as inflammatory. They're not considered inflammatory oils. The first one, sunflower, safflower, canola, inflammatory oils if you want to cook with oil, and still in moderation, coconut, avocado, and grapeseed. Those are the best oils to cook with. And a lot of people say, well, I cook with olive oil. Do not cook with olive oil, okay? Olive oil is only good when you consume it at room temperature. You can put it in your salad, but it becomes toxic when it's heated. That's the thing. Yeah.
We don't know that. We don't know this stuff.
A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. And that's why the whole field of functional nutrition is growing, because there's a gap between the doctor and the patient. And that gap is knowledge, because the things that I'm talking about when it comes to nutrition, doctors do not learn that in medical school. So it's not like your doctor hates you or wants to kill you or wants to give you wrong advice. They don't know, because they're not taught that in med school. So that's why you have this whole field of functional nutrition and functional medicine that's growing to bridge that gap. So you're not just, what we're going to talk about today, chasing symptoms all the time. You're actually supporting your body in a way that you can actually heal and overcome some of these conditions.
Nice. Well, I'm making some changes. I'm going to go downstairs after the show and dump all the oil out of the kitchen. My wife's going to kill me, but I'm going to get all the oil and throw it out.
It's a journey.
Listen, like in my, the post I made yesterday, I'm not doing all of this. So, working out and trying to eat right, trying to be healthy. I'm not doing that so that I can look good in my casket. I'm doing it so that I can be more productive right now while I'm alive. And that's why those of you who are watching right now, that's why we need to do it as well. So we can get the job done while we're still able to get the job done.
Exactly.
We're no good to anybody else if they need to take care of us. If we can't function, we're no good to anybody else. We're a burden to everybody else.
Exactly. And life becomes very miserable. And who wants to live like that?
Yeah.
Who wants to live like that?
So,
Go ahead.
No, this is your show. Go right ahead.
Okay. So in continuing this conversation, talking about the doctor, when we go to the doctor or when we are diagnosed with a condition, the question that most people are asking is what? Okay. They want to know what's going on in the body. And the doctor is looking for a diagnosis to answer the question, what? Right. And just so people know what a diagnosis really is, it's just a collection of symptoms, okay, that are grouped together, and then a label is put on those symptoms, and we call it a diagnosis so that the doctor can treat you, because he can't treat you for anything that's not diagnosed. So you need to think about, that's really what a diagnosis is. So it's not like, because a lot of people identify with their diagnoses, and we shouldn't do that, because literally it's just a group of symptoms that are happening in the body. Mm-hmm. But what's lacking is that very few people are asking the question, why? Why is this happening in my body? Mm. And if we can figure out why, we can better manage. And in a lot of cases, we can eliminate the what. Mm-hmm. If we understand the why, we can eliminate the what. And I'm going to share some things with you tonight in terms of how you can do that, and people that have actually eliminated the what when they really started going into the why. All right. So now I want to share this story. Last time I was on the show, I shared a story that literally changed my life, but I never finished the story. Okay. And I talked about the hospital stay that I will never forget. And to this day, I can still see the lights shining in my face as my eyes flipped open as I laid on the operating table. I can still hear the nurses saying, she's awake. I can still feel the panic of not being able to move. I still remember thinking every day while I was in the hospital that there has to be a better way. But what I wasn't prepared for is what happened 10 years later. The tumors that were removed during my surgery grew back with a vengeance, And that is when I made the decision,
Wow.
I have got to find a better way. Now, my surgery was in 2002, and by 2012, the tumors came back. But by this time, I was well into my health journey. And so this is when I began to really ask the question, why? Why did they come back? Because I was not willing to go through that experience again. And because I knew that it wasn't cancer, I'm just like, somehow I've got to find a better way and maybe eliminate them or at least stop them from growing.
Right.
And so I did all this research, and there's all this conflicting data. Nobody really knew what really caused fibroid tumors. But one of the common threads was stress, and I didn't think, that my life was terribly stressful, except for I have workaholic tendencies, okay? Which is common.
No.
Which is actually common for a lot of people. But I'm like, why is this happening to me? Because these tumors only grow back like that in a very small percentage of people. And I'm like, why is this happening to me? And so in 2014, I came across this book on aromatherapy, which is basically the use of essential oils to support the body in a therapeutic manner. So tonight is when we get into the oils, and it's literally going to blow your mind. Okay, wow. So I
see you smoking. I see you smoking back there behind you. Yes. That's pretty cool. I like that. I'm gonna get me one of those.
Yes. So in my research, I found a blend that was actually recommended for the type of tumors that I have. And so that I thought I would try it. I had no expectations whatsoever. Mm-hmm. I just started rubbing these oils on my body every morning and every night. And these tumors, when I say they were huge, they were huge. They literally, when I would lay down on my back, they protruded through my stomach. You could see them. That's how big they were.
Wow.
Within 2 months after doing this, my tumors had shrunk about 50%. And within 6 months, they were almost completely gone. Okay. I was freaking out. Wow. I was like, what in the world just happened? But I still did not have the answer to the question, why? Mm-hmm. And I needed to find that out because I'm like, okay, they're gone now, but I still don't know how it started. All right. So that's when I was like, okay, what is special about these oils? And I started to do more research. And that's when I actually went and got my certification in aromatherapy, because I was like, God, I need to know more about this. I mean, I don't know exactly what happened. All I know, I think about that story in the Bible when Jesus healed the blind man on the Sunday, and that they were all upset, and they were like, is Jesus, is he the one that healed you? And he was like, look, all I know is that
I was blind and now I can see. Yep.
He was like, I don't know anything else.
That's all I know. Yep.
Yeah. And that's what I was telling people. I said, all I know is I had these tumors, and they were going, I can't tell you what happened. Mm-hmm. All right. And they were like, did the oils melt your tumors? I'm like, I don't think so, but I can't tell you. But I was on a mission, and I became relentless to find out why. And so as I began to study, as I got my certification in aromatherapy, one of the things I learned, or several things I learned about the oils, is that they support our body at the cellular level. And that's amazing. They clean our cells. Okay. They repair our cells. I'm going to give you another big word, but you don't have to remember it. They support the growth of the mitochondria in our cells. The mitochondria in our cells is directly or correlated with our life and our energy. When our mitochondria die, we die. When our mitochondria are flourishing, we flourish and we have energy. So these oils actually support the growth and replication of the mitochondria. And why is this important? It's because illness and wellness begin in the cells. And when our cells become damaged or clogged or worn out, it causes an imbalance in the body, which leads to illness. And all imbalances in the body, and here we go with the answer to the question, fall into three categories. I'll say up to three categories. The first one is genetic expression. The second one is digestion. And the third one is inflammation. All illnesses have roots in those three areas. Everything can be tracked to one of those, one or more of those three areas. And just like when I talk about autoimmune disease in the beginning, that all tracks back to inflammation. And here's the thing, inflammation tracks back to digestion. Digestion tracks back, and they're all intertwined to genetic expression. Okay. And in functional nutrition, we call these the three root causes of all illness. Okay.
And that's the why. That's the why that you're talking about.
That's the why. That's the why. Basically, when we are sick, it has something to do with our genes, which are part of the cell. Our genes are within our cells, or it has to do with digestion, which has to do with our nutrition, or it has to do with inflammation, which is how our immune system is responding to what is entering into the body, either through our nutrition or through other receptors that we have in the body. Okay. Even things like we smell. All right. Or things that we breathe in, like COVID or things like that. So here's the thing is that the symptoms we call them branches. All right. The root cause, genes, digestion, inflammation. So think of a tree. Think of a tree that's planted in the soil. You have the roots. Okay. Genes, digestion, and inflammation. The tree grows and you have branches. The branches are all of our symptoms, signs, and diseases. And they're directly correlated to the health of the roots. Genes, digestion, and inflammation. And the health of the root has to do with the soil that they are growing in. And it's the soil is where we can come in and make changes. And I'll give you an example, because tonight I'm only going to focus on one root, and that is genetic expression. Because how we can impact our genes, which is at the cellular level, is number one, through our mind, our thoughts. Our thoughts, that's a huge one. And that's the one I'm going to really dig into because it's directly related to stress. So it's our thoughts, what we eat, our food, movement, exercise, and our environment. Those are the three main elements that affect our genetic expression. Okay. Let me give you an example. Okay. Because a lot of people I tell people, you know what? When it comes to your illness, your thought life is actually more important than what you eat.
Oof.
Your thought life.
Say that again, because mind and body are so closely related. Correct me if I'm wrong. Mind and body, because your mind can make, this is what I believe. You can tell me if I'm wrong or right. You can convince yourself you're sick. Your mind can make your body sick.
Absolutely. A lot of people convince themselves that they are sick. And I hate to say this, for some people, they are sick because it benefits them.
Well, here's the thing I've learned about when you say that. Here's what comes to mind for me. When people who are chronically sick and need assistance, so to speak, then for them, they want to be that way or prefer to be that way. Why? Because now nothing is expected of them. They're always the center of attention, where people are always doing for them, as opposed to people expecting them to do for themselves or do for someone else. Because if I'm sick, I can't do nothing, and you don't expect anything from me.
and actually, that's a good point. I never quite thought about it that way. But the key word that you said was attention. There are some people that are starving for attention. Right. You know, when you have a spouse that is not getting the attention that they desire from their other spouse, then being sick gets them more attention. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, that's an aspect. Okay. Right. So let me give you another example that's probably more common. All right. Okay. So one of my recent clients, and she just came to me very recently, and she had cancer diagnosis and a very serious one. And this was all within the last couple of months. And so she said to me, she's like, I don't know how I got this. And again, remember, cancer is an autoimmune disease. She said, I eat right. I'm a vegetarian. I do everything right. She's also a fitness instructor. She says, I have spent most of my life trying to be healthy because I didn't ever want to be caught with this diagnosis. Right. So I began to ask her some questions. I said, okay, so let's talk about your stress level. Let's talk about your stress level. She said, oh, I'm not stressed. My life is fine. Things are good. And I'm like, okay, have you ever experienced a traumatic event in your life? Nope, no traumatic events. Has anybody died within the last few years? Nope, nobody died. I'm like, how about divorce? Divorce can be very traumatic. Nope, not that. She says, I'm single. And then she says, but I have had several stressful romantic relationships. And when she said that, I said, now, did that relationships have an S at the end? And so she said, yes. And I said, it only takes one. Right. Your body can literally become diseased as a result of one stressful relationship. Wow. It's how your body responds to that. But normally it's not just one, because as we begin to talk further and as I begin to ask her more questions, we uncovered a lot more stress going on. And so my response to her, I said, it's not that this came out of nowhere. You just didn't see it coming. And so when we begin to review all of these events in her life, I said, this alone, even if you're eating right, you're exercising, and you're doing all the things, can still cause illness. Right. So the question is, how does that happen? Because when we experience stress, whether it's conscious or not, there are certain things that happen in our body. First of all, in our brain, we have what's called the limbic system, which is right around here. And in the limbic system, we have something called the amygdala. Okay, the amygdala are two structures, and the amygdala is responsible for the stress response. Okay, and every time something stressful happens, the amygdala sounds the alarm. Then it alerts. You don't have to remember these words. I'm just doing it just so you can see the pathway in the science.
Well, I got to record it. This is recorded, so I'm going back and watch all of this. I'm going to be an expert, at least be able to say these words.
So the amygdala alerts the hypothalamus, that alerts the pituitary gland, that alerts our adrenal glands, and then we start secreting a hormone called cortisol. You've heard of cortisol, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Cortisol, that's known as our stress hormone. That's something that God has given us that's very helpful. But the thing is when it happens over and over and over again, too much cortisol will literally it will destroy our gut, which we're going to be talking about next month. And all this is related. Right. It destroys the gut. And it also causes damage in the body that causes us to be sick. Another thing happens when we experience negative emotions. Okay, say we have a stressful event. What happens is, as soon as the event happens, okay, it goes immediately to the back of our brain, looking for a similar situation, because our brain is everything is kind of repetitive, and our brain stores records, and how we react to something has a lot to do with how we have reacted in the past. All right. So it goes to the back of the brain looking for something similar. Then it immediately, and all this happens within seconds. Then it comes to the front of the brain. We do not feel emotions until it's in the front of the brain. When it's in the front, the frontal lobe, then we feel the emotion, and then we have 10 minutes to decide what we are going to do. And that 10 minutes is very crucial, because if we decide to turn this and make this a positive situation, our body starts to function positively. Nice, okay. Yeah. If we decide I'm going to be angry, I'm going to be fearful, whatever it is, then our body continues to secrete hormones that damage our cells. And here's the thing. All of our memories are stored in our brain, but the actual emotion is stored throughout the body. For example, you're in a situation where you become very, very angry. The memory stays in the brain, but, and I call it an emotional recipe, actually starts to flow throughout the body. And when it gets to your liver, that recipe is able to open the cells in your liver and store there. So when a lot of times when a person has a lot of liver issues, I will ask them about anger. And I'll give you an example. I had a client years ago where I did this. It's a scan thing that I have. It's called an Itobi scanner, where I can scan a person and I can get an idea of where their body needs support. And what was coming up on the scan was a lot of liver, like their liver needs support.
Mm-hmm.
So I began to ask the person, have you ever dealt with like an anger management problem? And they couldn't even believe that I said that. They were like, oh my goodness, that's one of my biggest issues is anger. Okay. Anger stores in the liver. Grief, when you experience grief, starts going throughout the body. When it gets to the lungs, the grief has the key to the cells in the lungs, stores in the lungs. I remember when my father passed away, it was very traumatic. And during that day, that moment, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I mean, I literally, and this is long before I could do any of this. Right. It was like, I was going, I can't breathe. I can't breathe, because it was like grief, too much grief for me to handle.
Right.
It was in my lungs. Okay. Worry stores in the stomach. When you're about to do something and you're a little nervous, people say, oh, I have butterflies in my stomach, or I can't eat. It's because worry stores in the cells in the stomach. So and the thing is, they can store, and I'm just giving you a few examples, but emotions store throughout the body.
Right.
And that is a key cause of illness. Because what happens is when you keep experiencing the same emotion over and over again, it keeps going to that same area of the body where it stores, and it becomes toxic to those cells. And over time, those cells become dysfunctional and you end up with a diagnosis.
So it literally weakens the cells in that area. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
I need to be born again. I need to go back and be born again. Boy, I got a lot of these issues. Oh my God, my goodness.
And the thing
we're gonna talk in private about me. I'm not gonna tell everybody watching right now what issues I have. But I got anger. I got anger issues. I don't worry, but I've always had anger issues. And I don't know about stress. I guess sometimes for me, when things get stressful, I feel myself get calmer. I don't get excited when things start getting, you get bombarded with certain things, a lot of little things coming at you at the same time. The more that comes, the calmer I get. I don't know if that's a gift or talent or what, but that's just the way I am. When everything else gets chaotic, I get calm.
Well, if you're not resolving it, it's a defense mechanism. Okay. So our brains, their job is to protect us as well. Okay. Right. Or its job is to protect us. So if that happens, if you're not coming to a resolution, your brain is like, okay, we got to suppress this, because if we don't, right, it's not going to be good for you or anybody else.
Or anybody else. Mostly everybody else.
So that's what happens. And here's the thing. A lot of people are very good at suppressing their emotions, and they think they've dealt with it. And I'm just like, if you haven't really dealt with it, it's just suppressed, and it will come out later. Have you ever noticed when you talk to older people, like people when they get really, really up in age, they start bringing up stories, painful stories that happened to them when they were younger, right, when they were kids, because it was never resolved.
Yeah.
Okay. And as we get older, we lose the capacity to suppress, and they start coming out.
That's why old folk just say whatever they want to say. The old folk just say whatever they want to say. I just assume because they're older, they can do that. And as I get older, I start doing the same thing too. I'm like, I'm 62 now. I can say what I want to say.
That's what my mom said. She was like, see this qualifies me to say what I want to say. Yeah.
So go ahead. You're still talking about uncovering the root cause for our health issues. We're dealing with stress and how stress attacks certain areas, different kinds of stress, worry or stress or grief attacks different parts of the body.
Right. And stress is responsible as the single root cause for over 90% of all illness.
Wow.
Yeah. So what that means, if we can handle our stress, if we can control our thoughts, if we can clean out these cells, because our thoughts and our emotions, as I have just demonstrated, they occupy real estate in our bodies. It's not just a thought. It's not just a spiritual thing in your mind. It's an actual hormone. It's an actual chemical in the body that can cause disease.
Wow.
Okay. So here's the thing. Now I'm going to go back to the essential oils because this is where it all ties together. Because essential oils are the single most powerful thing that God has given us to be able to handle our stress and our emotions. And I will give you an example because it's in the Bible. Because one of the things that I do for my practice as a Christian is I always go and I look for, is this supported in the Bible? And in my journey in studying aromatherapy, when I came across Exodus chapter 30, it blew my mind. And the reason is because in Exodus chapter 30, first of all, let me tell you what was going on during that time. And it starts around the 25th chapter. The children of Israel with Moses, they were in the wilderness. And God had given Moses instruction how to build the tabernacle, the place where they would worship him. Okay. And in Exodus, he gave very, very detailed instructions how to do that. Every detail was important. When you get to the 30th chapter, he actually gives 2 essential oil recipes. Totally blew my mind. The first one
Let me get my Bible. Wait, let me get my Bible. Hold on a second. You just wait right there. I got a Bible over here somewhere. Let me get my Bible. 30th chapter of Exodus. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to look. Shoot. We are 30th chapter of Exodus. Wait, just don't go nowhere in that. Just hold on a second.
Pull it out.
Golden calf. Just okay. That's 30. Okay. The brass laver. Sweet incense. The sweet incense is
incense. That incense and essential oils can be interchangeable.
Oh, the holy anointing oil. Okay, go ahead. Verse number 22. Go ahead. Okay, I got you. I'm with you now.
So the holy anointing oil, if you notice as you read that chapter, he tells them where to put it. Put it on the priest, put it on the utensils, put it on the table, on all the things in the area of the tabernacle where they offered sacrifices.
Right.
Because essential oils, what they do is they clean ourselves, they repair ourselves. As I mentioned, they heal, they support our body at the cellular level. They are also antibacterial, antiviral, disinfectant. They are very, very powerful oils that come from plants. Right. And in the Bible, essential oils were used when it came to managing diseases and things like that, illnesses. That's what they use, and for many other things. So that first recipe was for purification, where all of the sacrifices were. If you go down further in the chapter, he gives a second recipe. And this one, he says, and call it a perfume. Okay. Let me ask you this question. Why do we wear perfume? What is the purpose of perfume?
To smell good. To hide the funk. That's why people wear perfume, to hide the funk.
That's why some people wear it, and you can tell when that's what they're doing.
Yeah, because it don't work.
But so when God says make it a perfume, all right, that has to do, he's talking about the sense of smell.
Right, smell.
Well, our sense of smell is actually the most powerful sense that we have. And the reason is because out of all of our 5 senses, our sense of smell is the only one that is directly connected to the limbic system in our brain where the amygdala lives. Remember, the amygdala is responsible for initiating the stress response.
Right.
And essential oils can calm the amygdala on contact. When you smell an essential oil and it goes up your olfactory nerve into your brain, it is irresistible to the amygdala. Wow. And it's also when those molecules, they're very tiny, they cross the blood-brain barrier, they're also cleaning out our brain cells. All right. So God said, I want you to make this perfume and I want you to lay it before the Ark of the Covenant before I come to meet with you. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when people tell me, oh, I don't believe in oils, you have problems, you just pray. You know what I tell them? Prayer is not enough. It wasn't enough in the Bible. And right. So it's not enough today. There are other things that you have to do to manage all of this. And in the Bible, if you think about it, he's telling them, I want you to start inhaling, smelling these essential oils so that by the time he gets in that most holy place, was where the Ark of the Covenant was, by the time he comes down, your mind is calm, your mind is clear, you're not dealing with all of that mess. Because remember, the priests are bringing in all of the sins of the people. Right. And so they're bringing in all of this baggage. So God is like, let's clear that out. Let's get you calm. Let's get you open to what I have to say to you before I even enter the room. Powerful.
Nice. Wow, that's powerful. Listen, I'm gonna use this in one of my sermons. I'll give you credit the first time, but after that, I ain't giving you no credit. It's in
the Bible. It's in the Bible. So here's the thing. Let's go back to my story in the beginning, okay? When I use the oils, because the most powerful thing they do is to support us emotionally and mentally. So what I tell people is that by me using those oils, it gave me, unknowingly at the time, the emotional support that I needed so that my body could then heal itself, because that's what our bodies are designed to do. So my body was able to get rid of those tumors after the emotional stuff was cleaned out.
Okay.
That was blocking my healing. And that's the thing what people have to understand. And that's why our thought life, how we deal with our emotions, is so important. That's why, and I teach something and I talk about healing blockers. The number one healing blocker is unforgiveness. Ooh. If you have unforgiveness in your heart and you are dealing with a serious illness, you got to get that out if you want to heal, because that will block your healing every single time. Now, sometimes you may have a condition and things may go into remission, but if you want to be completely healed, because if that unforgiveness is there, it will rear its ugly head again, even if you don't feel it and don't realize it, and you will not be totally healed. That is a healing blocker. It's our stress. It's our thoughts that are the root cause of all of this.
Why is unforgiveness one of the main ones, or the main one, or the biggest one?
Because it's so powerful. Let me give you another biblical example. So remember the man that they let down through the roof?
Yep.
Jesus healed? Okay.
Yes.
And what did Jesus say to him to be healed?
Your sins are forgiven, because his sins were connected to his illness.
Right. But the key here is are forgiven. Why would he say to him, your sins are forgiven? Because a lot of times, most times, it's actually easier to forgive someone else than it is to forgive yourself. Sometimes the unforgiveness. So by Jesus saying that, he was letting that man know you are forgiven, because he was harboring unforgiveness of his own self. And that is a very, very powerful emotion. So once he let go of that, Jesus has forgiven me, I can forgive myself, he was immediately healed. And when Jesus said, does it really matter whether I say your sins are forgiven or rise up and walk? Right. Because actually they mean the same thing. Because if you let go of that, you're going to be healed.
Right.
It's, you know what I'm saying? It was just another way of saying be healed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's huge. And that's what a lot of people need to understand, is dealing with the emotional aspect. Oh my goodness. Okay, we still have another minute. Let me give you one more example.
We got as much time as you want.
Okay,
This is your
okay.
show. This is your show.
So this is another recent client. Okay, well, actually, when I say recent, she's been with me for a long time. But
Uh-huh.
about several years ago, she came to me and she had a lump on her breast. And she was like, I don't want to go to the doctor. I want to deal with this naturally. And when people come to me, I let them make the decision. And I'm like, I do not tell you what to do, but if you want to support your body, I will help you do that in whatever decision you make.
Right.
So she had this lump. So I said, if you're not going to go to the doctor, this is what I want you to do. I had her change her diet. I got her on some supplements. I got her using the essential oils. We had to deal with the stress, all of that. Lump went completely away, gone. Okay. About a year and a half later, and the thing is, she was going through a stressful time. About a year and a half later, she comes back to me. She goes, Donna, it's back. And I said, you already know what to do. You know what to do. She did it, went completely away. Okay. Within this last year, she came back to me again. Donna, it's back. And this time with a vengeance. And this time, it didn't go away. It didn't go away. It started growing faster and faster. It was getting bigger and bigger. It was starting to change. And so finally, I said, it's time to see a doctor. Okay. I'm just telling you this. There are some times where you just need to see a doctor.
Right.
Now, you have to pick your doctor carefully. That's the thing. Because I've told people in the past.
That's obvious. I'm going to have to fire my doctor.
Yeah. and she was very afraid too. And I kept saying, got to get rid of the fear. I know this is hard, but we've got to really rein that in. So I recommended to her to the doctor that I like to use, and that I recommend to all of my patients when I know it's not patients, I don't have patients, clients, when it's out of my scope. And so I arranged an appointment with the doctor. And when he looked at it, he was like, that doesn't look like cancer. Doesn't look like cancer. And then he explained why. And then he says, I'm going to give you this, this, and this. Do that. And let's see what happened. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately the fear left. Once he said, I don't think that's cancer just because of certain things, the fear left. Do you know it started healing right away before she even got the stuff that he recommended? It started healing. And I was just like, that was a prime example, because the fear and the things that were going on in her life was causing this thing to continue to grow. But once she let go of the fear, and that's why I talk about wellness without fear, when you can let go of that fear, your body will start to heal itself. And that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. And so that's why I talk about it, and I say, if we got to deal with what's going on up here as the first step. That doesn't mean that that's all we do, because we have conditions where you need to do other things. Sometimes you need to take medication. But what I tell people is the very first step is to deal with what's up here in your healing. And then everything else will go a lot smoother when you take care of that. And what my recommendation for the very first step is using aromatherapy, because it works. It's worked on me. It's worked on many people. It's in the Bible. Like, once I saw it in the Bible, I'm just like, that's all I need to see. That's all I need to see. I get it. I get it. And it's something that I do every single day without fail. I put oils on my body just like I brush my teeth, just like I take a shower, every single day without fail. It's part of my daily regimen. And that's part of what I'm doing to continue to age in the way that I choose, in the way that I desire.
Wow. It's amazing. I always thought that I was just trying to be a tough guy, but you're just confirming something that I used to do, a mentality that I used to carry and live in when I played ball. And that was, when you get hurt, they start, either you get traded, you get cut, if you stay hurt all the time. Football is a physical game, and you do get injuries, bruises, and you get banged up. But I always believed in myself that being hurt, meaning you can't play, is a state of mind. I would never get hurt. Why? Because I never allowed myself to think I was going to get hurt. I am not going to get hurt. I would not keep saying that to myself, but I believed that it was a state of mind. And
Yes.
it's just something that I practiced when I was playing ball, to try to hold that positive mentality, to go across the middle of the field, not worrying about getting hit or how I was going to get hit or when I was going to get hit, but to continue to play with that positivity in my mind, knowing that it would carry me through. And it did. And it did. I played 17 years. But like you're saying, it's such the mental state that we carry, that we hold, that we live in, has such a impact on our lives, whether it's negative or positive.
That's
We
right.
have to, it starts up here. It
Yes,
starts
that's right.
up here. That's
And here's
amazing.
And here's the other thing, and this is again just the beauty of God. So I talk about cortisol when we get an overabundance of that, okay, which comes from fear-based emotions, all of our negative emotions.
Right.
That's what's secreted, and that can be damaging to the body. When we live in love, because that's what I teach, living and existing in love. When we do that, our body secretes a different hormone. It's called oxytocin.
Mm.
Okay. And oxytocin, science shows that oxytocin actually counteracts the negative effects of cortisol.
Wow.
Okay. And there's a scripture that supports that. Perfect love casts out all fear.
Right.
Oxytocin counteracts the negative effects of
Of fear.
cortisol.
Yeah,
All
cortisol.
of this, and that's one of the things I love to do is I love to put together science and scripture. Huge, huge,
Wow.
huge, huge. That's my
That's
thing. Love it. Because
and
that
that's
makes it more powerful.
and that's the one scripture Jesus taught us. He said, "Forget about the 10 Commandments. I know you know the 10 Commandments. You can't keep them anyway, but do this one: love one another as I have loved you." That's that love. That's that
Yes.
state of mind. That's the state of being. Wow.
Yes.
That's
And when you
awesome.
are in that state, your body's in a state of
Right.
healing. So
Yeah.
when people come to me and they're like, I need to be healed, I'm like, we got to get your body in a state of healing. It starts with the mind. It starts with your thoughts. It starts with your emotions. And when you get your body in that state of healing, then we support it with the other elements of the soil, like nutrition, like movement, like controlling what comes into our bodies through the environment. Those things support what starts up here. What starts up here?
What do you think my chances of being sick later on are? Because when I was a kid, you said what we goes into our body. When I was a kid, we used to run behind the mosquito man at nighttime. Breathe. You remember the mosquito man? You remember that? You don't know about that. You're not okay. There was a truck.
Man.
You don't know about the mosquito man? Who knows about the mosquito? Is there anybody watching right now that knows about the mosquito man? My mama knows about the mosquito man, but is there anybody watching right now that knows about the mosquito man? If you do, just throw it in the chat. There was when the summertime would come, mosquitoes start coming out. So there was a truck that used to go through the neighborhood and spray this mist right in the middle of the street, spray this mist that would kill mosquitoes, mosquito repellent. It would, whatever it was that was coming out of the back of the truck, it would kill the mosquitoes. And we as kids, we would run behind the mosquito truck and mess around and breathe that stuff in.
That is so scary. I am so glad I have never come in contact with the mosquito man, truck, whatever.
Well, they don't do it anymore. They were just doing it in the black neighborhoods. They probably were trying to kill us. 'Cause wow.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
That's probably part of my problem right now, my issue, because I was breathing in that stuff from the mosquito man.
Well, here's the thing. You got to remember, when we're younger, our body systems are actually stronger and they're
Okay.
able to handle it better. Now, if you run behind the mosquito truck today, you'll probably...
No, I wouldn't. I got enough sense not to now. We were stupid when we were kids, running behind the mosquito man.
Oh my goodness. That is so funny. Never even heard of that.
So the root cause, or one of the main root causes of health issues, is our mental state, stress,
For number one.
fear.
Yes.
And we get that straight, we have a lot, don't correct me if I'm wrong, we have not a lot, or just a better, is it just a better, or is it a lot better chance? It increases our chances of staying healthy.
A lot better. A lot better. Oh my goodness. And even when you look at the research, areas in the world where people live longer, their
Right.
stress level is way down.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah. That's because they live in huts and they don't have all this and they eat grass. They don't have all this bills they gotta pay and
That's right.
IRS and the president acting like a fool and all this kind of. They don't have all this stuff going on that we have to deal
Right.
with.
That's right. And the thing is, that is very true. And that's why we have to choose how we live. Like for me, like with the news, I'm totally out of the loop. I mean, I do see headlines. I stay abreast of
Right,
certain things, but
right.
I'm not digging into all that negativity. I'm
Yeah,
like, you know what? These are things that I can't control. And if I can't control it, I am not going to sit here and let that and consume that
right, right.
because it's
Yeah,
not doing anything for me as I get older. I mean, and I know people who would get so upset about what's going on in the world, what's going on with the government, things that they can't control until it made them sick, till it made them
wow,
sick.
wow.
And I'm just like, it's not worth it. It's totally not worth it.
So calm is like a. No, I'm not gonna say that. Calm is like a bomb. Does that make sense?
B
A
A L B A L
BAL, yeah,
M.
like a healing balm.
Yes, exactly,
Calm is
exactly,
like a bomb. It's like a protective healing
exactly,
balm. Yes, Uh,
exactly,
I like that. I like that.
exactly.
All right, Jenny.
And so
There's something else you want to tell us
I
today?
just want I just want to encourage people, okay? And also the other thing too is I have more information about essential oils and things like that on my website. So if you want more information about that, you want to go to donnamarie21.com. So it's donnamarie21.com. And I encourage everyone to incorporate essential oils into your daily lifestyle. I'm like, if they did it in the Bible times and they lived way longer than we live today,
Yeah.
why not do it today when they are available to us? Now, I also will say this, not all essential oils out there on the market are good. Actually, only 25% are authentic. 75% of what's out on the market is no good. And some of them actually even have chemicals in them. I
Wow.
use a brand that is authentic. If you want to know what that is, it's on my website. You can go there and check it out. But it's just really important for people to understand what really impacts our health and what they can do about it. And again, we have the three roots, but the number one is handling our emotions, our
Mm.
thoughts.
Sylvester Webb. So Sylvester Webb said, "I'm going to go live in a hut." Okay, Elder Webb. He's the elder in my church.
I know him. I know him.
You know Sylvester. Okay, he's
I
going. He
do.
said, "I'm going to go." He said, "I'm going to get a hut." Well, listen. I'm going to your website. I'm going to get some. I got some. I got to turn that off over there because it's off. Because I don't know if that's for real or not. I got some oils going over there, but you just every time I talk to you, I make changes. I'm throwing that
That's
away,
great.
and I'm going
That's great.
to. So when you give your recommendation or you have on your website the types of oils that you use, the
Mhm.
aromatherapy, do you recommend like what is that back there? Diffuser?
This is a diffuser, yeah.
Yeah. So
So there are the company that I use, they have diffusers, but you can get diffusers from other places
I like
as
that
well.
one. Does it come in purple?
This actually lights up and it has a purple color,
Whoa! I got it. Okay,
but
I'll be talking to you.
but but this one they no longer carry, so I have to find one
Oh
similar. But I can find a purple one for you. How about that?
my goodness.
Yeah, I can
Man.
find a purple one for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All
Oh,
right.
the other thing I wanted to mention too, okay, if anyone goes to my website, okay, because I'm going to be on the show, for the rest of the summer through August,
You're
right?
going to be on July. She's going to be on again
Right.
in July on July 11th. She's coming back
Mhm.
again in August on August 1st. First,
Right.
July 11th, we'll be talking about healing the gut and how healing the gut heals your body. And then on the 1st, we're talking about winning the battle against disease. And we're actually going to have some other folk on with us on
Yes.
August 1st who have stories. Some of the people that Donna's been talking about who have had cancer and have been healed. so that you all will actually hear it from them. And this becomes more believable. Some people will hear this information and take it with a grain of salt, like it doesn't make a difference, like it's not going to make a difference. No, this information, if you were listening and you hear this sister talk, she knows what she's talking about. I can't understand half of what she's saying because she's using big words and things I've never. But it's just amazing how simple it can be for us if we would just pay attention to what's going on, hear the information, and then take that information and make application to our lives. Things we could be better off. We'll be better off.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's great. The other thing I wanted to mention is when you go to my website, you can actually send me a message. And if you just send me a message and just put in Fryar Place, that's all. Just put in Fryar Place. And that way I will know that you have seen this video, because before the summer's out, I'm actually going to be putting together a tool, a blueprint for you to get started with really supporting your health. And for everybody that's been watching the show, if you just send me a message, you put in Fryar Place, I will have your email address to make sure that you get it. So definitely go to the website. You'll see it. Send me a message. Just put in Fryar Place.
Yep, this is a collaboration. Donna Marie, y'all. Listen, this is just the beginning. Oh, wow. What an enlightenment. How informative this has been. This has just been, and she's just scratching the surface. She's not even getting deep into all of this. And I met Donna through a good friend of mine, Lou Rogers, who speaks so highly of her, and I've known Lou all of my life. And if Lou says it's good, guess what? It's good. It's legit. And Donna is good. She's legit, as we've all heard the last hour. And it didn't even seem like an hour because it was just it's just so exciting, and it's enlightening just to know and have good information. So y'all, listen, start with your stress level. Start with your mind, your mentality, your mindset. Let's start there until we get a chance to get Donna back on the show next month on July 11th. Let's start thinking different. Let's start not allowing things that we cannot control to cause negative thoughts to take place in our minds. And let's try to live in love, as Donna said, because that's the key right there. That's the formula right there. That is the answer right there. To love, to live in love. And those of you who have been watching, you know that Damaris Johnson, the love doctor, I've been having him on. He's going to be on the next couple of months as well, Donna. And he comes on and he talks about relationships and love and marriage, and talking about being one. That's the goal of marriage, a husband and wife, to be one. That's the goal of marriage, not to get a big house, not to have a lot of money, not to set up for your retirement, but the goal of marriage is to become one. And that's the love. You know, he's talking the same thing. So we're going to be spreading God's message along with healing people and healing marriages. Boy, the Fryar Place is going off the chart. We like this.
I see.
So Donna, what's your closing thoughts for today?
Just one. Live in love. I think you said it just the way it needs to be said. Live in love. And when it comes to the root cause of your health condition, start here. Start with your thoughts. Start with managing your stress. Again, I encourage people to use essential oils, because a lot of times people are like, I don't know what to do. I can't control my thoughts. I have these emotions. When God said, okay, then use this, we can do the same thing, because they really work. I'm telling you, they work.
I believe you. I'm on it. So I'll be bugging you the next couple of days.
All right.
And listen, you should get it. Those of you who are watching, if you travel, get a travel aromatherapy kit so you can take it with you in your hotel room.
Absolutely. Every time I travel, I have two diffusers going on at the same time. Oh,
wow.
Yeah. See, now hotel rooms, that's when we talk about the genetic expression. I said one of them in terms of the soil was environment.
Right.
Toxic environment, y'all.
Hotel rooms? Yes. Yeah. All kinds of stuff going on up in there. Demons and all kinds of stuff left up in there. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Donna, thank you so much for being with us today. Yes. No, thank you for all that information. And we look forward to seeing you back on July 11th, and I'll be talking to you way before then because
Thank
you got me now. I'm hooked.
All right.
I'm hooked.
Mission
Listen.
accomplished.
I'm going to be one of your stories. I'm going to be one of your examples when you're talking
Oh,
to
I love
people and you become real famous. I'm going to be standing up on stage right next to you.
it. All right.
All right, sis. We'll see
Thank
you,
you,
okay?
Pat.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot. All right. That is Donna Marie. Yep. Don't call her Donna Caldwell. Call her Donna Marie. That was great today, y'all. I don't know if you had to have gotten something out of that. You really have. If nothing else, you got to try to live as stress-free as possible. Not respond to the pressures of life, maybe the way you have been in the past, but deal with what you can control and those things that you cannot control. You can't allow those things to bring pressure and stress and cause anxiety to take place in your life. Why? Because that's the soil where disease begins, where sickness begins. That's the main cause of illness, stress, fear, anxiety. And we can control that. We can. Shout out to you, Sylvester Webb. Shout out to you, Amy Davis. Shout out to you, James X-Man Monsanto. Shout out to you, Herb Lust III, if you're still in the house. Shout out to you, Scott Teller is in the house. Let me look over here. Annette M. I see you. Shout out to you, Hope. My sister, Chef Mar Oils and Cuisine. April Rogers, shout out to you. Doreen Demby, hey, shout out to you, Doreen. Eddie Casper is in the house. Billy Bell is in the house. He said cherry juice. You guys are funny. Chef, Annette, okay. Eddie Casper, Billy Bell. Let me see who else. Doreen Demby, Hope Wiley. My mama's in the house. Mama, April Rogers. I'm just going to name that. Fly Chick 1 is in the house. Hey, Fly Chick. Kyle Miller, good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for putting a comment in the chat. April Rogers, I'm doubling name. Latoya Frazier. Shout out to you, Latoya. Loving My Destiny is in the house. Boy, we had a big audience today. A bunch of folk watching right now. Chef Mar Oils, okay. All right, we're in the house. Listen, the Fryar Place, where the conversations are fire, was brought to you by Stolford Structures. You can find Stolford Structures on mysheds.com. That's with an S, mysheds.com. They build outdoor products, garages, sheds, anything you need for outdoor living. That's what they do. They ship nationwide. They do it with integrity. They do it to advance the kingdom of God. And they're excellent at what they do. I've been to their facilities, and it's absolutely just remarkable how quickly they put these sheds together, these outdoor living products, and get them shipped to you wherever you are. So if you're looking for a garage, you're looking for a shed, Stolford Structures is where you want to go. You can find them on mysheds.com. I need to put that up on the screen. I'll do that next time. mysheds.com. Ask them, or make sure you mention, I should say, the Fryar Place. Mention the Fryar Place, mention me. 10% off of anything that you purchase. mysheds.com. Stolford Structures. All right, y'all, we're out of here today. That was great. That was great. If you missed any of it today, go back and watch it. Go back and watch it, and you'll be enlightened. You'll be encouraged. You'll be informed about what you can do to limit disease and sickness in your life. One of those things, one of the main things, is a positive mindset. One of the main things is to live in love and not allow fear, stress, anger, anxiety, or any of those things in your mind, in your emotions, to weaken your immune system and to weaken your cells and to cause sickness to take place in your body. You have control over that. So let's do a better job, all right? Listen, I'll see you all next week. We're going to be back next week. Same time, same place, same purpose. a conversation that's fire. If you weren't encouraged today, my gosh, you got your head in the sand. You just weren't paying attention. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, because you reap what you sow. We'll be back next week, Lord willing. And if the creek doesn't rise, that's what the old folks used to say. I'm out. Peace, y'all. Thanks for your support. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to tell your friends about the Fryar Place, where the conversations are fire. I'm out.